Welcome to Sports Ramble. These three dumb dipshits ramble about sports. My name is Joe Silek, joined tonight by the only one and only Big D Dennis Pond, our lovely host, Corbin Rush. Tonight we're talking about everything that's going on with football, everything in general. We're talking about college football playoffs, talking about Pro Bowl selections, talking about playoff teams in the NFL. A lot of fucking teams. But Corbin, what do you think we should start with?
I think the first thing we start with today is the college football playoff because it's coming fast. Pause. It's approaching fast, and I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a really exciting two games. I think the college football playoff committee did an excellent job this year. So, first game I want to dive into is the game I think is going to be the least interesting of the two, but I still think it's going to be a really good watch. The TCU Michigan game. So my opinion on this is I don't see a road for TCU to win this game. Just I don't think they have the talent. I don't think they have the guys up front. I don't think they have the skills positions to keep up with what Michigan is doing right now. Michigan is like hitting their peak at the perfect time. They've looked better and better since they started off a little slow. They had the rough game against Illinois, and then they mollywopped Ohio State at Ohio State, go in and absolutely smash Purdue in the Big Ten championship game. JJ McCarthy looks more confident than he's ever been. I don't think Blake Corum is going to be back for this game, but Donovan Edwards looks like a stud. That guy is hitting his stride. I just think in the defense, Michigan, their defensive line doesn't have as much talent, I don't think, as they had last year. But I would almost say they are better than they were last year. I just I don't see a path for TCU to overcome those hurdles right now. I think that TCU has maybe the better quarterback in the game with Max Duggan, but
Maybe.
maybe it depends on what JJ McCarthy, which JJ shows up. But I think Max Duggan's a better quarterback than JJ McCarthy, but football's three different phases, and quarterback's only one of 11 on offense. And yeah, he might be the most important, and their receiver, they got Quentin Johnson. I mean, that guy's a stud. He's a big guy. He's probably going to be I think he's going to be a late first round, early second round pick. They have pieces, they got guys. I think TCU is a good football team. They absolutely deserve the third spot, but I don't see them being able to put up much of a contest against Michigan, but I could be wrong. I mean, I'm wrong a lot, but I don't know. I don't see TCU beating Michigan. I think Michigan handles TCU. I don't think it's close. I think Max Duggan does his best and he puts on, his hero shirt and he goes Superman on these guys as best he can, but it's just not going to be able to overcome the speed, the strength, the power that Michigan has. JJ McCarthy hitting his stride, Donovan Edwards hitting his stride. So I don't know if they're going to be able to stand up against that Michigan D line. That's where I stand on that game. So that's my thoughts on it. Dennis, Joe, y'all go ahead.
I'll say it boils down to one thing, and you hit on it pretty well. Boils down to the big boys.
Yeah.
Who consistently has one of the best offensive lines in the country? It's not one of the playoff teams. It's a team Michigan struggled with.
Wisconsin?
No, Illinois.
Oh.
Illinois gets up there
Illinois.
with their
This year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Illinois gets up there with their, 7 down linemen and try to run it down your throat. And they got the big boys to match up, and that's why it was close. Also, everybody has a trap game, right?
Yeah.
And they got out of their trap game.
Yeah.
I think it boils down to the big boys. TCU, they got, like you said, they got some studs, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the country. Max Duggan.
Whoa!
Most TCU. Worthy of. I was talking about TCU.
I thought you were talking.
Relax.
You jumped real quick from Michigan to TCU there, so.
And so, they got a good receiver. They play well as a team. They play well for Heisman Max. I will forever refer to him as Heisman Max.
Yeah.
But
who was robbed? Who was robbed of the Heisman?
He was.
Absolutely.
But it boils down to they can't match up with Michigan. I'm not sure there's anyone in the country that can match up with Michigan.
Ooh. That's an interesting take.
Ooh, that is an interesting take.
That's my
I
take.
think, honestly, like, obviously, I think we all agree that we feel like Michigan's going to win this game. And we think it's going to be not necessarily a blowout or anything, I don't think, but it's going to be kind of 2-score game, maybe.
Yeah, I see that.
I've fallen in love with this TCU team coming towards the home stretch of the regular season. Like, I was throwing some slander at them earlier in the season. Like, they don't deserve to be in the conversation. Who do they play? Honestly, they look like a playoff team. And Max Duggan, Quentin Johnston, like that team has the weapons and they have the players and they have the moxie. You know what I'm saying? They have they have something. They have it.
Mhm.
And Michigan also has the moxie and they have it. So it's going to be I think it's going to boil down to who has more of the it in this game.
I think that's an interesting. I think that's an interesting.
I think
take.
I said everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah, that's it. I don't disagree completely. I think you're wrong. I said this a lot last time too. I don't think your takes are bad. Okay, let's get this square. Like, for the record, I don't think, Joe, your takes are bad. I just think they're interesting. I don't necessarily ever disagree wholeheartedly with them, but I also don't agree with that. I think Michigan is too big, too fast, too strong, and it might be like one of those facing the Giants type deal, like David versus Goliath. And I think that's in my opinion, I think that's a pretty fair representation of what's going to happen. I think TCU is smaller, not as athletic, not as fast, but they go in there, they got a lot of heart. They play hard. TCU plays really, really hard for Max Duggan, Sonny Dykes. I mean, those guys really want to win, and they're going to be competitive. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be like 42-7 or something like that. But yeah.
We've seen like all of these teams struggle with games in the regular season. All these playoff teams struggle with teams we thought they'd blow out in the regular season. So who knows what's going to happen when you have the underdogs going against Michigan? Like, Michigan could choke. We don't know. Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm hoping Michigan chokes. I'm not a big Michigan guy, but we'll see.
Hey, I will say I want to watch TCU win this game. I will say, I'm sorry, Dennis, but I'm rooting for TCU. I want to see TCU play tough. I want to see TCU win. I don't think it's going to happen. That's just I don't think the thing is going to happen.
The chance of it happening is about 3%.
3%? It's college football. This is why I love college football, because any given, like they say, any given Sunday, it's really any given Saturday. I mean, we've had
less so in college than the NFL.
There are more blowouts in college, I will say, but also there's more potential for like a team to get upset. Like, Michigan should have lost to Illinois. Yeah. Let's be real. I mean, Illinois outplayed Michigan for 3.5 quarters. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I'm really excited for that game. I think it's going to be a really good watch. It's not going to be I don't think it's going to be like Michigan shows up and just dog walks TCU and then lets the door hit them on the way out. I don't think it's going to be something like that. But I don't think Michigan loses this game. I think Michigan
see TCU being out of this game until the end of the fourth quarter.
I can buy that. I'll buy stock in that.
I'll say third quarter, because Michigan doesn't always start super hot. But I think
don't get it twisted. My money is still on Michigan.
I think once the gears start turning, they've had a few weeks off. Once the gears start turning, you'll see that John Harbaugh unit roll out there and take care of business.
Yeah, I'll give a score for this game. I don't know. I think it's going to be like 35-24. I think 35-24 is what I got.
42-14.
See, I'm going to go even 45-35. I think we're going to see a lot of offense.
You think so?
Yeah. On that,
I hope so.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. I like it, Joe. It's coming off bold, starting off strong.
Wait, so you think, using the transitive property here, so you think TCU is better than Ohio State at Ohio State's home field?
No.
Hey, neutral field, you never know. Big moment. I have more faith in Max Duggan in a big game than I do in JJ McCarthy in a big game.
I do too.
So,
and also the home
JJ
field.
McCarthy we saw the last 2 games.
That's true. JJ McCarthy showed up.
It's going to be no contest.
He showed up in Ohio State more than I thought he was going to be able to. I think we talked smack about him too.
We talked smack about him for 15 minutes on the podcast.
and then he went out and threw 3 touchdowns.
I said, damn, JJ saw the podcast. He told me to shut the fuck up.
I'm saying, dude, JJ really he proved us wrong. But I gotta see him. I gotta see him in the playoffs. I gotta see what he's able to do in the big game. Because last year, I mean, he got a little bit of time against Georgia, but it wasn't much to see. So, which brings us to my next point, or our next topic. I think we're gonna go ahead. I think we're done with the Michigan TCU game. I think we all said our piece. Georgia, Ohio State, and I have a lot of opinions on this game. So if I go too long, one of y'all just interrupt me. But
I just want to say before you get going is that the spread for this game is technically smaller than the spread for the Michigan TCU game.
I think that's right.
6.5 in this game. It's 7.5 in the TCU game.
Okay.
6.5. Okay, I think it's a 3-point game. So I'll start with the 2 quarterbacks first. My opinion on them: Stetson Bennett. He's proven in the playoffs. He's shown what he can do. He might be 25 years old, and he might not have the biggest arm. Might not be the most athletic guy, but
man has grandkids already.
No, the North Texas quarterback has grandkids.
Yeah.
He entered the transfer portal today. I didn't know he had another year of eligibility.
How does he still have another year? But anyways, that's besides the point. Stetson Bennett has proven he can show up in big games. He can beat the big teams. He can do it when it needs to get done. He's not the biggest arm, not the most athletic guy. He's got that dog in him. When Stequavius Bennett shows up, everybody else better clear out because the guy will. He's extremely impressive. And when you have a roster like the roster he has with the best offensive line, I mean, they may not be rated the best offensive line, but come on, man, it's loaded with 5 stars. You got 5 stars at every position. You got 5 stars across. And they have one of the best defensive lines, best defenses in the country. I don't see. He's not going to be asked to do everything. He's not going to be asked to carry Georgia to the championship. It's not going to all be on his back like Max Duggan, right? And I think J.J. McCarthy is also in a similar boat to Stetson Bennett. He's not going to have to carry the entire team through the playoffs. But that's what I'm saying. With Stetson Bennett, he has these guys around him. He has great running backs, great receivers. He has a really good scheme that is built around him. He's been in for 3 years now. The guy is built for success. I think he's going to go out and I think he's going to succeed. I think they beat Ohio State, but I think it is not squarely on Stetson Bennett's shoulders. They're not asking him to do as much as C.J. Stroud is going to be asked to do. C.J. Stroud
shouldn't ask him to do as much.
No, I don't think he's not going to. It's I don't know a great comparison, but it's they're not asking him to go out. It's kind of like Brock Purdy for the 49ers. It's what a parallel I see here because they're not asking Stetson Bennett to go out and win them games. They're asking him to not lose them games. And I think he's more than capable of getting that done and making that happen. C.J. Stroud, on the other hand, is really going to struggle. And I think it comes down to one matchup this entire game. JSN is playing, so that's a huge boost. There's a lot of talent in that Ohio State wide receiver room. There's at least 2 first-round guys. One of them has the potential to be the best wide receiver in the NFL within the next 3 years. But I think it's going to be Ringo versus Harrison Jr. That is going to be the key matchup in this game. And it all comes down to if they can contain that guy and keep him from getting open and keep JSN contained. I think Georgia boat races Ohio State. And I don't think it's going to be a close game. If those guys are able to get loose and CJ Stroud can perform, because right now, all we've seen from CJ Stroud is choking in big moments. He has lost twice. 2 years in a row to Michigan? Has not made the playoffs. This is the first time making the playoffs.
And got blown out at home against Michigan.
Home against Michigan.
In the game.
Both teams undefeated going into the game. I mean, it was the biggest game in years. And CJ Stroud blew his chance. He didn't play awful, but he didn't win them the game. He wasn't able to keep up with a average JJ McCarthy. Yeah, who had been average the whole season. I don't know if I trust CJ Stroud to show up in the big game. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is still going to get his. I think he's going to have a good game. I think JSN is going to have a good game, but if those two have great games and CJ Stroud has a great game, and that defensive line for Ohio State can get pressure on Stetson Bennett, mess up his timing, mess up their scheme, then Ohio State has a chance. But if they come out flat at all, if they do not come out with the right energy, the right mindset, the right mentality, they get dog walked by Georgia, and I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's like a 20-point win for Georgia if Ohio State doesn't come in with the right mindset and with like prepared to battle, because it's not going to be easy any way you slice it. So that's kind of my take on it. That's how I feel about it. I think Georgia, it all comes down to the mindset Ohio State comes in with, because I think Ohio State has the talent in all assets of the game to compete, but I don't know if they're tough enough, have like the right mindset going in. And like I said, it's going to come down to Ringo and Harrison Jr., I think. And they're going to be battling, and I think it's going to come down to how well those two can perform. But that's kind of my take on the Ohio State Georgia game. I'll give my like final score and my final prediction after y'all two hit your points too. So, but Dennis, Joe, y'all go ahead.
I think, bias aside, because Ohio State's my least favorite team in the country, year in and year out, just how it is. You have to look at the fact that Georgia has had the best defense for the last 28 consecutive games.
Yeah.
Like their one loss in the last 28 games was to Alabama, who they then beat like 3 weeks later in the national championship, or a month later. I think that Georgia defense is unstoppable. It's going to take another, because they got the big boys, right?
Yeah.
It's going to take another team that's committed to the big boys to compete with the big boys. And I thought that was Michigan last year, and we saw how that went.
That was not fun.
I thought Michigan would at least make it a contest last year, and they didn't.
No.
It comes down to the big boys. It always does. They're just best defense by far, I think, over the last 2 seasons. So that's my take. It's very short. I think the defense shows up. We saw what happened to LSU, who had been kind of on a roll, forgetting the Texas A&M game, but have been on a roll, ran into Georgia. Georgia sent them packing.
Yeah.
I think they send Ohio State packing, and it's not necessarily close. I think they do. I think they do contain those receivers on the outside for Ohio State. I think C.J. Stroud does what C.J. Stroud does best. Not a knock on him, just speaking on what I've seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Georgia runs away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any other outcome in this game. What I want to know: do you guys think that Georgia could be the next Alabama, the next dynasty team in college
I don't.
Go ahead. My take, I think Georgia wins this year, and then we start to see the effects of the NIL and the transfer portal more. And there's going to be, you might win 2 in 5 years, but is that a dynasty?
We'll never
compared
see
to what we've seen. Alabama seems to have won 30 of the last 31 national championships, right?
They were one every other year.
Yeah,
basically.
I'd say maybe 2 in 10 years is the max you're going to be seeing. If you've got a stud at quarterback that is automatic, he shows up to school and he just has that connection with everyone, and they're just that good.
Right.
That's the only way you're going to get consecutive championships. NIL, not going to speak on my feelings about it.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, they were getting paid before. We just didn't know about it.
Oh.
And transfer portal, it's gonna even things out a little bit, and especially with this playoff expansion, there's not gonna be people trying to go to these 4 teams that they know, or there's probably 10 teams that are every year there's a chance, right?
Mm-hmm. Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan are gonna be there every year.
Yeah, you got your LSU gets a lot of good commits. Auburn typically does, not lately.
Yeah.
USC with Lincoln Riley now, Oklahoma, those kinds of programs. I think you're going to see the playing field level out. So I don't think the dynasty happens.
I don't think we ever see another dynasty like Alabama. Nick Saban, and I don't want to hate on other SEC schools because I still think the SEC as a whole is the best conference in college football as well.
And it's not close.
And it's, I don't know if it's not close. The Pac, yeah, I know you're gonna roast me for this, but the Pac-12 has
the top end of the Pac-12.
The top end is
in the top end of the Big Ten, even they're pretty strong.
Yeah. With
Outside
USC coming back, I think the Pac-12 is gonna or Pac-12 is gonna be, or is it Pac-10? I think it's Pac-10. It's Pac-10. Big
It's
12,
Pac-12.
Pac-10. Is it?
There's Big 10,
Pac-12.
Big 12, Pac-12.
Okay. Pac-12. I think I don't know. I had a brain fart there, man. I just lost it for a second. But so I think
As a
USC.
sports podcast doesn't know the freaking power conferences.
I know. I get Big 10, Big 12, and then Pac-12 all like mixed in. Seriously, I can't wait for the flack. But no, I think USC being good again with Lincoln Riley and getting those commits back. Like the best high school football players in the country are from California, and I don't care. Texas is number 2. With all the private schools being able to recruit now in California, like Mater Dei, St. John's Bosco, those teams are getting all the big recruits, and they're all coming out of California now. So I think USC being in their backyard with Lincoln Riley, him being able to recruit the way he is, being the coach that he is, I think USC is going to be scary moving forward. But again, I don't think we're ever going to see another dynasty the way that we've seen Alabama, because Nick Saban benefited from poor coaching across the SEC for quite a few years when he had his done. Les Miles, yeah. I mean, Tennessee's coaching carousel, I don't think they had a guy stay in for more than 2 years at a time. We went through like Dooley, Jones, Pruitt. Now we're on Heupel. I mean, there was a lot of guys.
It's been like that. SEC, it's a carousel.
Like, yeah, and I mean, so like now we've got Kirby Smart. We've got Heupel, who looks like a real like a guy. We got Brian Kelly. He looks like a guy. Hugh Freeze, I don't know. I mean, he did good with Liberty. I'm not sold on Hugh Freeze, but like, you know, there's Jimbo Fisher. Like there's a lot more consistent competent coaching in the SEC now, I would say, than like when Nick Saban was running his dynasty.
I'd agree with that.
So
don't call Jimbo a good coach again.
He's had his good years.
Never speak those words on the podcast again.
He knows how to recruit. You can't say he doesn't know how to recruit.
Jimbo's slander only on the potty.
The guy knows how to recruit. Like you and me weren't drinking a case of, you were drinking a case of Busch Apple, and I had like 3 when we were watching Texas A&M beat Alabama last year.
At A&M on a walk-off field goal. Like,
I'm just saying.
It's not like they dog walked him. That's all I'm saying.
No, but I'm just saying I don't think we'll see another dynasty. I think that was a good point, Joe. I don't think we're going to see another dynasty like we saw with Nick Saban in Alabama. Mm-hmm. And that's almost going to be – it's like the Patriots dynasty in the NFL. I don't think we'll ever see another dynasty like what the Patriots did with Tom Brady. No, I don't think that's ever going to happen again.
But getting back to talking about the game we're talking about.
Sorry, that was a tangent. that was a little bit. Wow, we went a little left field on that one.
Down the rabbit hole. But anywho, all I was going to really say was that I don't see Ohio State really being in this game off to the start. I think Georgia's just going to hold their lead. They're just going to run on them. They're going to take care of business. There's nothing else to just really say. I think we're going to see, realistically, we're going to see Georgia, Michigan in the championship game. And Georgia might just go all the way. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't think there's a dominant team this year like there has like last year, where Georgia's defense is good this year. They're not like last year's defense. Those guys like
how many of them got drafted in the first round? 5?
Like it seemed like it was a lot.
No, literally, I think 5 starters
was it 5?
got drafted.
Dude,
in the first
it was
round.
insane. They had the number 1 overall pick too.
Yeah.
It was just this year, usually every year there's like a team throughout the season we watch and we're like, that team is going to win the national championship. Like Georgia last year was that team. Yeah. And like the year before that it was Alabama 20, right? Because it was Alabama 2020.
That was Alabama. The COVID season, a little weird.
It's still they were unbelievable, which I've seen a list.
You remember who they freaking took out back and took care of?
Ohio State.
In the national championship? Ohio State.
Devontae Smith had like 3 touchdowns and 600 yards in a quarter and a half. It was insane.
Yeah, I was going to say, before halftime.
But just to like continue my point, like then it was the Alabama team. The year before that, it was the LSU team, and everybody knew, okay, that's the team that's going to win the Natty. I'm just saying,
those teams of destiny.
Yeah, you just watch them and you're like, nobody's beating that team. This year, I don't think we have that. I think it's more open. Yeah. And again, Ohio State has a lot of billboard material because everyone's saying they're not in this game. They have no expectations. So I think like there's a path for Ohio State to win this game. Georgia has to come out real flat, and Ohio State has to come in ready to punch them in the mouth from the first snap. But if they don't come out like that, then I don't think it's close. But my final score prediction, I think it's I'll go 35. Very similar to the Michigan TCU game. I'll go 42-28 Georgia. 42-28 Georgia. That's what I'm gonna go. Dennis.
I'm gonna agree with you, Corbin. 42-28. That's what I was gonna say. You took the word. You took it before I could say anything. I think 42-28, maybe even 42-21.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go like
24.
Benefit of being the host, Joe. I get to say the things first.
I'm gonna go 31-17 Georgia.
That's probably a safer bet.
Yeah.
I think that defense is too good. Fourth quarter, maybe CJ Stroud throws his second touchdown. But that defense is too good.
Yeah.
All
right. We got our picks. We got Georgia and we got Michigan in these two games. We'd love to see TCU win. Well, me and Joe would love to see TCU win.
And that's the thing. I would love to see him win, but I'm not rooting for him. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
you're not gonna be upset if TCU wins.
Yeah.
Like I'll be upset if Ohio State wins.
It's high.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If Ohio State's win, I'm not watching in the
Natty. A Michigan Ohio State Natty would be crazy though.
I would watch that Natty.
I would watch that Natty. I would watch that Natty for sure. But all right, moving on. I think we've said our piece about the college football playoff. I think we go ahead. Let's talk about real quick because this kind of pertains to our last podcast on Sunday. I want to talk about the Pro Bowl quarterbacks, specifically in the AFC. And this is why I said Derek Carr is a better quarterback who I would take over Tua. Hear me out. Tua was the highest rated or most voted for by the public quarterback in the AFC. By the public.
And
that means he was so bad rated, like voted for among the coaches and players, even with him being the highest voted for quarterback by the public, he was still not elected to the Pro Bowl. What's that telling me?
And he was highest voted by a lot.
By a lot, like by a significant margin. What that tells me is that players and coaches in the NFL, when they game plan for Tua, they are not worried about that guy at all. He is a non-factor. You can't tell me that teams don't account for Derek Carr. You can't tell me that. Derek Carr is one of the saving graces of the Raiders right now. And he doesn't have his tight end. He doesn't have his slot receiver, who's one of the best slot receivers in football. Derek Carr is doing more with only Devontae Adams, who's getting like triple teamed, than not doing more. Tua's done more. I'm not saying Derek Carr's done more than Tua, but he's doing more. If Tua was in the same situation, it would be worse than what Derek Carr is doing by a significant margin, in my opinion. When you have the most votes by a significant margin and you still are not don't make it to the Pro Bowl because of the coaches and players voting, that's something telling me it's like a red flag. It's like this guy has a serious issue or he's just not that good. That's what I learned from the Pro Bowl voting. I don't think he was snubbed. I don't think he missed out. I think there's a reason he missed the Pro Bowl, and I think it's because Tua's just not a very good quarterback. I just think he's very limited. He's better than Baker Mayfield, but he's very average. He's just not special. That's what I got. That's what I got to say.
That's not saying much. You can't drop that in there and try to be all sly. We've been in the big.
I just have to get my Baker Mayfield hate in whenever I can, man. Like I just, I don't have a problem with the guy except for his attitude, and he thinks he's better than he is. He hasn't done anything to. But we'll get to that later. But I'm just saying that's my Tua take. That's why I take Derek Carr over Tua. Now you guys feel free because you guys called me crazy last week.
So here's the thing with Tua though, is like, okay, he's been told his whole career that he's not good enough, right? By people like you especially. And I think with Mike McDaniels down there, with finally someone on his back or a guy who has his back, I think we're gonna see him shine, and we might see Miami be a plus 500 team.
Consistently,
Ooh.
I'm not. Okay, but for Miami, that's saying something. I think Miami could make the playoffs.
They made the playoffs.
Not this year. Not this year. I'm saying they're going to be a playoff team in the future. I'm saying they have the weapons. They have the quarterback. I think that's their quarterback. I don't know who else you're going to go out and get.
Not in that AFC.
That's what. Okay, hear me
I
out.
mean, they're not going to win the conference over the Bills in the next 10 years. I'll agree with you on that.
They're not winning the conference for the next 10 years. That's what he said, Dennis.
Yeah, they're not. You've got him at quarterback on the Bills.
Yeah, that's. I'm not discrediting that at all. I'm just saying they're still going to be a team. I still think they're going to be a team that a lot of people are going to circle on the calendar as a problem.
I think that's a hot take.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think Mike McDaniels is a very good coach.
Look at what they're doing. They're building.
They're not building.
First year with
what? They have Tyreek Hill. They have Jalen Waddle. They have Mike Gesicki.
The best 1-2 receiver in the league. Like
Xavier Howard. I mean, the guys are.
This is the first year with a new head coach, with a quarterback who finally has some weapons. This is the first year they're actually able to use everything. What are they going to do next year? We don't know. They could win 15 games next year.
Hear me out. Do you think that Tua is a better option than I'm just trying to blow past that. I'm trying to blow past that because that was and we lost Dennis. No, there's no world where Dennis, why are you playing quarterback for the Dolphins? There's no world where Tua is a better option than Derek Carr. The reason I'm saying Derek Carr, okay, this is why I've been hampering on the Derek Carr thing. Derek Carr is going to be a free agent next year or a trade piece. He's not Josh McDaniels' guy. I don't think they mesh well together. I don't think Derek Carr stays in Las Vegas after this season. If I'm Miami, I am going all in on Derek Carr in the offseason. They already tried to get rid of Tua twice, too. Like, let's not forget. They tried to get Deshaun Watson, and they tried to find anybody else other than Tua this past offseason. They wanted T-Law. Huh?
Try to get Russell Wilson, too.
Try to get Russell Wilson. They were off the Tua train, and they got stuck with him.
But then they got Josh McDaniels.
Mike McDaniels.
Mike McDaniels.
And Mike McDaniels, I think, is a great coach. I think he's going to do really good. I think his offensive mind is excellent. But I don't think Tua's going to be the dollar store lawyer. I don't think Tua is going to be able to beat Josh Allen. I don't think he's even going to be able to beat Mac Jones if the Patriots can figure it out. I think Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Tua right now, too. He's not playing well at all. I'm not saying Mac Jones is playing well, but I think I'm taking Mac Jones over Tua. He's bigger, at least. He's a bigger guy.
Well, so?
But he's so goofy and unathletic.
I don't know. Okay, maybe that was a little outlandish. I just don't like Tua.
Way outlandish.
I just don't like Tua. Okay, I'm done with Tua. I'm off Tua.
Let me get rid of Tua. Let me give it to Joe real quick with him talking about that making the playoffs in the AFC.
I'm not talking about this year.
So let's look at this.
They might still make it this year, but the Jags look legit. Trevor Lawrence, best quarterback in the NFL right now.
This is part of my argument. Like, let's look at this realistically. Tennessee is a good, I'm not saying like a great, is a good quarterback away from being like a really good team, right?
Mike Vrabel's an excellent coach. Excellent.
One of the best.
Indianapolis' roster.
So much potential.
On paper, that roster is great, minus the quarterback position. They're a quarterback away. I think the Jags are there. I think next year the Jags, you see
Trevor Lawrence is a guy.
That's what I'm saying. I think next year you see like a 13-win season out of the Jags.
I don't think that's they got so much talent. They have so much first-round talent now. I don't think it's super ridiculous.
It can't be ridiculous.
No.
You look at let's look at the West now, right? Chiefs, they're going to be they got Patrick Mahomes. Like,
yeah,
you could put Nate's out there at wide receiver, all 4 spots, and they're going to make a playoff run.
Somebody's going to get open.
Yeah. Not even get open, but they're going to get the ball to them.
Yeah. And their defense is good.
The Raiders, I think the Raiders will figure it out when they're healthy.
I just don't think they have enough money to figure it out.
Their offense, it doesn't. I'm saying their offense is really rattled by injuries this year.
Fair.
Waller's out, arguably like a top 3 tight end in the league.
Top 3. Can't stay healthy though.
But Josh McDaniels not a playoff quarterback or playoff head coach. Excuse me.
Yeah.
We'll see. You got the Chargers. They're already almost there. They literally just got to figure it out.
I want to hit on this in the next podcast, but we need to talk about when do we stop making excuses for Justin Herbert?
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
But not to like get you off track, but that's something we need to talk about for sure.
You look at the Broncos. I think the Broncos are Nathaniel Hackett away from being like a 12-13 win team.
I think they're Russell Wilson away.
I think Nathaniel Hackett is not letting Russ like play his game. Russ Wilson, after he left Seattle, like you see some things, you hear some things. He posts some stuff on social media. It's like this guy's kind of weird. Like straight up, this guy's kind of weird. But like I think he's still a really good athlete and can play football in the NFL. I think that head coach, just the way the whole offense is being run is just wrong.
No.
I
want to hear Joe's take on this too, on the Tua situation. Because
let me just fire off real quick. Browns, Deshaun Watson, he'll build chemistry. They'll figure it out. The Bengals, them bungles gonna bangle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All
right.
So Steelers are young. They're improving. The Ravens are good.
They have weapons.
Yeah. The AFC is loaded.
So many teams in the every team could make the playoffs in the AFC in a given year, I think. Have one minor tweak. NFC,
that's fair.
Not the same story. Not the same story.
Yeah, no, the NFC's a wash. Yeah. But no, like my thing about Tua is like I don't think it's kind of the same thing with Dak, right? I don't think he's in a position where it's time for it to replace him. I think we still need to see him for another season as a starter to really justify saying, okay, maybe he's not the best we could do right now. Because I really do think coming up, I mean, it's the carousel of quarterbacks every year is insane. It's this year no different. I just don't think that he's playing bad enough. And I think he still has the potential to be a guy for Miami. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say before you start stabbing me back about Derek Carr is so much better. So let's just calm down. All I'm saying is I don't think he's horrible. All right.
I can respect that. I still think the Dolphins are looking off of him this offseason. I don't think
they just had a slide in the end of the season. Like they were doing very well until his 3-game lose streak.
They had a slide because they started playing playoff teams. Tua is great against under 500 teams.
Okay.
Tua is great against bad teams.
With the exception of the one win they had over Buffalo in Miami.
Where he was broken. Buffalo didn't want to hit him.
And they did play Buffalo pretty tough in Buffalo. So,
but all right, we're going to have to hit more on this on Sunday. We're going to have to wrap it up for this one. We're going to have to. All right, we'll take a 5-minute break. We'll be back. Y'all won't see that. It'll be edited in. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back. We had our little pee breaks, like us men have to do. And we're going to continue on with the Pro Bowl quarterbacks. I think Dennis wants to take us away with that one. So we'll start with the NFC, and then we'll move to the AFC.
So I'm actually going to start with the AFC.
We'll start with the AFC. Right, we'll move to the NFC.
That's what you said.
That's what made me think about it, right? You were talking about, like, let's talk about when we need to stop making excuses for Herbie, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw the AFC list, and I was like, those are the best 3 quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah.
Like, you can't argue. One of them is going to be in the Super Bowl and won't be there, and probably Herbert is the 4th in line.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best 3 quarterbacks in the AFC. And I don't think there's a debate to be had about it at this point.
No, I really liked it. I thought it was a great choice. They didn't miss on anybody.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
you see, like
3 best quarterbacks in football. Let's be real. I mean,
let's be honest.
Yeah,
best athletes at the quarterback position. No, I'll swap Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts like a 3A 3B type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But is he a better quarterback?
No, Jalen Hurts is not a better quarterback.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think they hit it out of the park. I think that makes a great point. Like, wait, everybody says Justin Herbert's the guy, but when are we going to stop making excuses for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
You move to the NFC. Yeah. My take is Hurts, deserved it.
Absolutely. MVP. He's second in the
first
MVP
team All-Pro.
race.
He's probably going to end up being the NFL MVP. He's got 1 loss through God knows what, 14 weeks, 15 weeks.
I don't think Hurts is going to win the MVP if he doesn't play Saturday. But that's
one game off.
Yeah, I think because it's the biggest game the Eagles have this year. But with the other picks, with the other
Geno Smith, he earned it. He didn't write back.
highest completion percentage in the NFL.
Yeah,
Wow.
he didn't write back. Like,
Mhm.
guy earned his spot, right?
Yeah.
He's probably comeback player of the year. Should be at least.
Should be.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about my boy Gino. Kirko Chains.
Okay, before
Kirko
you start
Chains.
getting questioning about that,
Hold on, let Joe. Yeah.
I was just saying he did just somehow pull off the best comeback in NFL history.
I'll name a guy who I think is more deserving of that third spot, just based off the quarterback play.
Mhm.
Not necessarily because of the talent around him. Yes, he's got a damn good coach. Never was a huge fan of this guy until this year. He showed up. And he's played his ass off, and I think he earned it.
Brock Purdy.
Same division as Kirko 33 Chains. I think Jared motherfucking Goff, baby.
Oh.
Jared Goff has earned his Pro Bowl spot.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I don't either. I really don't.
I would take Jared Goff.
Because wait, think about it. Dalvin Cook,
Geno.
he's a top 5 guy, right?
Yeah.
At his position, Dalvin Cook.
Mhm.
Jay Jettis is 1.
Jay Jettis is probably 1 right now.
Mhm.
Who you got as your tight end? Oh, Hawkinson?
No.
Like, a pretty solid tight end, right?
Mhm.
Who's your wide receiver 2?
Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen. One of the best route runners that I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs is twice the route runner Adam Thielen.
And he might be the best I've seen in my lifetime. I'm just saying one of the best. Like, dude's got talent everywhere. Irv Smith at tight end, like next to TJ Hawkinson. You got talent everywhere. Defense is mid, but
yeah, very mid.
Jared Goff, he's got what? Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's the only really.
He's a dog. Don't
No,
discount him.
I'm not.
And he was snubbed from the wide receiver list.
He was
for the NFC. He should have been there.
I'm just saying.
I'm adamant about that. He saved me in fantasy this year.
That's the one guy with name recognition on Jared Goff's offense.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a factor before this year. He was all
Lions
right.
are about to make the playoffs. Like,
yeah.
Sorry to your Washington. What are they now? The Commanders.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to slip up there.
Yeah.
We will get shut down by YouTube. You gotta be careful.
But Jared Goff is that guy right now. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else there is to say about it. And
so
to put Kirko 33 Chains in there, I love Kirko 33 Chains. He's my boy. We all love Kirk. You like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Jared Goff deserved that spot.
I don't disagree. I don't think that's crazy to say. I think Kirk, based on their record and their ranking, like their seed, I think he got it kind of by default, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it was undeserved. I don't think it was like as bad of a snub as Amon-Ra St. Brown not getting a receiver nod.
Yeah.
Or CMC not getting a running back nod. The reason CMC didn't get a running back nod is because he was traded. But how productive he's been, he should have been in there. But that's another point. No, I think Kirko changes.
Kirko 33 Chains.
Dang it, Dennis. Kirk Cousins is a deserved spot. I don't think it's not like a spot where it's like undeserving of being there. I don't think there's like
he's deserving of it, but I think this year Jared Goff is more deserving.
That's fair.
Yeah,
it's hard to disagree with that. But like at the same time, yeah, Kirk Cousins, you could put a lot of different quarterbacks in that position and they'd be do pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a new regime over there too, and they're doing this well.
There's a lot of quarterbacks in this league. You put on Minnesota, swap out with Kirk Cousins, and they're undefeated right now.
No, I would agree with that. Well, it's the defense. I think that defense is too weak.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins finds a way to win games.
He does.
You don't think
But Kirk Cousins found a way to win games in Washington. We're acting like Kirk Cousins hasn't always been an above average quarterback. He's just not flashy.
As long as it's 1 p.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah.
He's an above average starting quarterback in the NFL.
He is.
He's a tough topic to tackle.
Not a sponsor. Not a sponsor.
He's not the guy, but he's the guy. He like when he was on Washington, he would come in and win you 6 or 7 games in a season, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to win. He didn't win 10, 12 games, but he was going to be the guy to take care of business when it needed to be taken care of.
Yeah.
He's
better than Taylor
Hawkinson.
He was never a clutch quarterback until this year.
He played in 1 playoff game in Washington.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's matched by Aaron Rodgers.
He hasn't been a clutch quarterback until this season. Something switched with him to be able to win these close games. How many 1-score games have they won this year? Pretty much every single win, right?
How many wins do they have?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is that last year they were in these close games and they lose. We all saw the freaking stat line of what every single NFL team record would be if a 1-score game was flipped, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that those 1-score games come down to almost luck of the draw. So they're just getting
gets the ball last.
Just getting lucky. They're putting themselves in position to get lucky. They have momentum. They have what it's like. They have the. I lost my train of thought. Anywho, they're doing everything that needs to be done. They're dotting their I's and crossing their T's to win these close games. And I think Kirk Cousins he's holding down the fort in that sense. Like he's doing what he needs to do.
With the exception of this Colts game, right?
Yeah.
Where obviously, he played really well in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say the last 20 minutes of that game, he played really well. 22 minutes. And the week 1 at Green Bay.
Kirk Cousins is Aaron Rodgers.
He has not impressed me.
What more do you want? What more do you want from the guy?
No, I get what Dennis is saying, though. He's not
He's not a show.
But he gets
because of Kirk Cousins.
He gets the job done.
The team, no, and that was my problem with what was just said. The team gets it done. It's not Kirk Cousins doing it. It's the team. The team and the coach figured out how to flip all those 1-score games, and they did that. They've done that really well, and that's not a knock on them.
Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback.
But I think he's the leader in that sense, though.
Someone in a different situation or similar situation, I think is, and I know, I'm gonna sound like the biggest Tua hater ever, but Tua's in the same situation. It's the team around Tua, and yet everyone's trying to make an excuse for Tua about him being a guy. Joe over here loves Tua. I don't know why, but
just defending this guy, him. That's all.
With your life, Joe, with your respect, with your name on it.
I'm not gonna go back on what I said.
Name on it.
But I just Kirk Cousins does exactly what Tua does at a higher clip, at a better stat line.
At 1 o'clock.
He played at 1 o'clock. Technically, it was a primetime game though, and he came back from 33
at halftime. Dude, it's only 1 o'clock. Relax.
And he was like, "Oh, yeah."
Literally, he got they go, Kirk, dude, take a chill pill, pop an Adderall. It's only 1 o'clock.
Don't pop an Adderall before you play a football game, please. Please, your heart will literally.
That's why they call him Kirk Cousins.
I can't. Oh, Lord.
No. All right, do you guys want to move on from this?
Yeah,
we're beating a dead horse.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we really want to hit in this podcast that you feel really strong about? You guys want to
talk about the refs last weekend and how?
Yes, Joe. I know you're hot about this, so Joe, let's take this away. We'll end it after this ref segment, but Joe, I want you to take it away because you were on fuego about this.
So we can talk. I'm not even gonna get to the Washington game yet. I want to talk first about the catch that shouldn't have been a catch that was a catch in that Raiders-Patriots game. Did you guys see that?
I did not.
His toe was clearly on the line.
Yes, I did see that. I saw it on TikTok. Go ahead.
And they did the review. They had everyone looking at it, and they had everyone on TV and in the stadium could clearly see toe on the line.
Toe was out, yeah.
Touchdown, right? Okay. And then that game ends in horrific fashion. Probably one of the worst plays in NFL history. But anyway,
that's worse than the
It's up
Pat
there. It's
McAfee
up there.
play, or well, it wasn't Pat McAfee's fault, but like the play Pat
Yeah.
McAfee was a part of, it was worse than the butt fumble. No,
Yeah,
it wasn't worse than the butt fumble. I don't know.
You're
The butt
talking about
fumble's
that
pretty
weird formation, the Colts on Monday night?
Yeah. But anyways, back to the refs. Back
so
to the refs.
the refs, like, what are you looking at? Right? These are like those kind of calls. So let's move to the Washington game, right?
Real quick, before the Washington game, Bush, if you want to sponsor us, we are more than willing to drink beer from you on every single podcast that we host.
Look at the stack of cases
This
behind
is
Dennis.
free marketing right now for Bush Apple. But Bush Light, reach out to us. We want to drink your beer on our podcast. All right, anyways, now go ahead, Joe.
So anyway, fuck the refs. All right. In the Washington game, McLaurin looks at the ref, right? Hey, am I good? Lining up, right? Ref's like, hey, maybe move up just a little bit. McLaurin takes a little, moves up a little bit, right? Looks back at the ref. Am I good? Ref's like, yeah, you're good, dude. As he reaches for the flag when the play gets snapped, and he's fucking like, whoop, nope. What
Real
the
quick
fuck
aside,
was that?
I will say,
for the people, just real quick, for the people watching at home and that don't know, the yellow line, though it like is a good or the offensive, the line of scrimmage line, even though it helps, it is not entirely accurate. So even though on the screen it looks like Terry McLaurin's way back, it might have been way closer in person to the line of scrimmage than we realize. Also, why he was like trying to continue to move forward. That was all I had to say.
Yeah.
I will say, like, in the rule book, the ref is not allowed to help a player avoid a penalty.
Okay, but he's checking to see if he's good.
Which is it from high school up, you do.
It's not like the ref's like,
I
hey,
understand, like,
17,
like
move up.
Yeah.
So, and that's what every wide receiver does almost every play.
Are you not going to talk about the PI in the end zone?
I was
that
getting
was
to
a
that.
yeah.
The
That
dude
was
was
more-
giving him a hug, right? Like he was mugged. The dude took his wallet and
more
ran. Like,
blasphemous than the online call or not. Like,
well, the online call because it's just so like, what? The PI call, we have missed PIs called. Well, my thing is, here's my real thing about this PI call, right? How do you decide on when to throw the fucking flag when, depending on what time of the point in the game you are? If it's the first quarter, that's a pass interference call. Am I wrong? Because that fucking call decides the game in a nutshell, right? That's what they're thinking. That's why they didn't throw the flag. That's their excuse for not. They don't want to make these calls decide the game. But when there's a clear-cut penalty that any other point in the game, you would throw that flag. Why don't you throw a flag just because it's in the 2-minute warning? Why? Tell me why. That's the rules of the game. That's how the game is played. Why do you not throw the flag?
And I have a theory about this, and this might be like conspiracy theory out like in to the nth degree.
Oh, no.
But sports gambling has become almost nationwide, right? Like FanDuel you can access in like what 15
DraftKings.
DraftKings.
Are you sure you want
MGM
to go on
Sports.
this?
Oh, I'm sure because it's. I'm just saying. I'm not like. I just have.
Watch,
a
this
theory.
video is going to get 6 views.
Yeah, and I'm gonna end up like dead or something, like those like crypto billionaires that are just popping up. But anyways,
You're going to Epstein yourself.
Oh, well, okay. Whoa. What are we doing?
I'm gonna have to
edit
that out. I'm gonna have to edit that out, but or not. But
back to topic. Back to
topic. With all this like nationwide sports gambling going on and becoming more accessible than ever, is anyone just a little bit curious if any of this has maybe just a little part to play in how these games are shaping up? Because let's be honest, I'm not saying that the NFL is scripted, but it is an entertainment industry. It's not exactly just a sports industry. And they're not going to go and tell the teams, hey, like they tell us to fumble the ball on this play, or they tell us to throw a bad pick on this play, or they tell us to do this or that. It's not like that. But I do wonder sometimes if like there's a little bit of influence, maybe from like higher ups or whatever, on the officiating in a game. Now, whether it's due to sports gambling, whether it's due to being an entertainment industry, whether it's true at all, and I'm just a conspiracy theorist that likes to go wild and think too much when I'm laying in my bed looking at the ceiling, I don't know. But I'm just saying it's been a lot fishier since sports gambling has become nationwide.
Well, here's my rebuttal to that. Is like why this is like really the first kind of big year for sports gambling. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Last year,
last year.
Okay, last year, this year, it's on the up and up. It's not fully grown yet, even, I would say.
And the problem was 2 years ago, the books lost so much fucking money.
Okay, but why would they start so early? Because they're still making money. Why would they start so early in this whole new kind of era that we're in of sports gambling? Why would they start so early to rig the games and make it so it ruins everything? I think they wouldn't do that for a long time if they were going to do it, if they were doing it.
Well, no, me and Corbin placed these like outlandish 29 leg parlays in the NBA playoffs.
We're not degenerates.
Did a single one hit? No.
But was it fun?
But did we place them every game and sometimes multiple parlays on the same game? Hell yeah, we did.
You better believe it. And they almost did. I hit 19 out of 25 legs on a 25 lever. I did it twice.
I hit 18. I hit 18 out of 20 one time, and I was over the moon.
But getting back to the refs, though, it's like, okay, we had the reviewable pass interference calls. What was that, last year or year before?
Nothing will be worse than the Saints-Rams pass interference call.
No, nothing. But the reviewable thing, they fumbled the bag on that. The thought was great. The execution was horrible. We're going to be moving to reviewable roughing the passer calls, I believe, which could include
roughing the passer has gotten out of hand as well.
Yes,
completely.
But there's a lot of
outrageous.
these calls that we're going to go to reviewable. But how is the execution going to be handled? Is it going to be enforced? Is it going to be used? Like, it's very ticky-tacky, but I just don't think there's a perfect answer for these refs. And also, these refs, you got to remember, they're not full-time employees of the NFL. This is a part-time job for them.
They still make an absurd amount of money to do it, though.
But they're not fully employed. There's a whole, you could restructure the whole referee, like, career, right? Now they should have done this when we had the replacement refs and all that, and that whole structure was happening. They should have done that. They really should have. You can get these refs to be like a team because you have the guys in the booth, you have the guys down there, and there's a lot of mismatch between them. There's a lot of mismatch week to week with these referee groups. You have some people that just don't know what's going on, and I'm going to say that right now. Some of these refs don't know what the fuck's going on.
No. I agree. I don't disagree. I've heard the full-time argument too. Make them go be a full-time ref, do training in the off season, constantly stay up to date with the rules. And I think that's the best option moving forward. The NFL can absolutely afford it. I don't know why they haven't done it. There's got to be some. I mean, there's things that we don't know that go on behind the scenes. Roger Goodell is extremely incompetent, and that's part of the problem as well. But I agree with you, Joe. It should be a full-time job. It should be changed. They've been pathetic. When the refs shouldn't come down, it shouldn't come down to the refs deciding a game, but when it does, they need to make the right calls. You know what I mean?
They called
they can't be afraid
fumble, I think, dead before. It was like one of those calls where it's like, the evidence wasn't enough to overturn this, that, and the other. They called it dead before it was a fumble, or before. Right. What am I trying to say? I don't know. I lost my train of thought again. I'm losing it tonight, guys.
Too much Budweiser, the king of beers.
They called a play dead before it should have been dead, and they didn't let it play out.
Yeah. So, but I think that's all we got for tonight. Dennis, do you have anything you want to say about the reffing situation that's going on?
It needs to be fixed.
It needs to be fixed. I think we all agree that it needs to be fixed. I think that's all we got for tonight. Saturday. I think we're gonna do a podcast Saturday night instead of Sunday.
Christmas Eve
action. That could get a little wild. Check us out then. As always, like, comment, please subscribe. Let us know what you want to see. Click that notification bell, share the video, and thank you guys for checking in. We will see y'all next time.